Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are looking at this. This is the Masters of the Universe Prince Adam with Sky Sled. Okay, so this is a toy that's been out for a very long time now. Chances are you may be able to go to some Targets and Walmarts, and this still might be on your shelves. This came out, I want to say, well over a year ago. Maybe like close to a year and a half, 2 years maybe. This came out 2020. So if I remember correctly, this came out before the pandemic, I think. Okay, so this is Prince Adam and his Sky Sled. As I mentioned before, this is something that's still might be readily available at your Targets or Walmarts. Now, this particular one that we're looking at right now, I bought this maybe two and a half months ago, and it was clearanced at my Target. It used to be up here. Here's the clearance tag. So originally this was priced at $29.99, and then I got mine for only $8.99. So I already had one of these in my possession. But as soon as I saw it on clearance, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to grab another one or two. I don't know if I need it to army build. But I couldn't resist it just because a standard single carded Origins figure is about $14.99. And the fact that this was clearanced for only like $8 and I got a figure, a display base, and the vehicle, couldn't pass it up. And I knew I had to get an extra one for, just in case. And I know it's been out for a while. There's been a lot of reviews on these, on this toy done already. But for me, it's kind of like, I have an extra one. May as well open it up and do a review and unboxing. So that's what we're going to do here. Taking a look at the package. Oh, man, I love this. When this thing came out, I immediately fell in love with it. The illustration at the top of the package is really cool. Everyone's on their different Sky Sleds. You have Skeletor and his evil henchman over here. You have Prince Adam, Wind Raider with Man-at-Arms. And then you have, I believe, I can't identify those characters right now. Maybe there's Eternian Guards. So yeah, I love the old illustrated artwork that comes with these like deluxe boxes and the packaging. It's really awesome. I think Mattel does a really superb job with that. Likewise, the image carries over here. You see Tila, doing some damage here. The vehicle itself and the figure, they're framed beautifully within this window. It's cool because immediately, right off the bat, you know what you're getting. You're getting Prince Adam. He has a power sword. You're getting the Sky Sled, and you can see all the different accessories that are provided, so you can actually like customize it or make it a different version of the Sky Sled's cool. And there's the base, there's the flight stand, there's different panels, so you can identify the Sky Sleds as either being like the hero Sky Sled with kind of like the green pterodactyl, or you can swap it out with the panels, with the red panels to get, so it's more of the villain Sky Sled. Yeah, the two different heads. One with the closed mouth and one with the open mouth. You have the blast effect. And on the back of the box, you have this really cool illustration. When his friends are in danger, Prince Adam leaps onto his Sky Sled and flies into the rescue. That's awesome. So you have Prince Adam, you have Man-at-Arms, Trapjaw, Skeletor, and Beastman, and Grayskull in the background. It's really cool. Over here we have the play features. So they kind of show the interchangeable heads. They show they could change the Sky Sled into the War Sled for the evil warriors, by merely swapping out the panels. Yeah, that's really cool. It's really cool how, this addition of a different head and a different graphic all of a sudden converts the vehicle from being a heroic vehicle into an evil one. That's really neat. And then here's a lineup. I think this was the first wave of figures. We got classic He-Man, Tila, Man-at-Arms, Skeletor, Evelyn, Battle Cat, Beastman, and here's the Sky Sled. Yeah, so this was the first wave. I want to say I think the Sky Sled was maybe initially a Walmart exclusive. I think when the toys were first released, I think. And I remember the one I actually have that's on display in my collection. I actually bought that on eBay, and I think I paid a slight tiny markup from the retail price. It wasn't that bad. It's not like I paid double for it. Just because at the time my Walmart's, I don't know, it took them a long time before they got the Masters of the Universe stuff in stock. And the Sky Sled was one of my favorite toys as a child, so it was kind of like one of those things where, you know, I kind of wanted it. So, but this one here, you know, this one I bought this at Target much later when Target finally got the Origins figures. But you know, like a lot of the Origins stuff, some of this stuff just sits on the shelves for a long time. And, you know, such was the case with this. So, you know, for me, it was kind of cool to actually find it, you know, for a really cheap price. All right, let's take this out. All right, slide this tray out of the box. All right, first impressions of the Sky Sled and Prince Adam as they're still in the tray. I'm excited, but also reserved. I'll go into that in a little bit, but I do think this is a very awesome vehicle. It's really cool. It's a great modern take on such a classic and vintage toy. But I do have, you know, some reservations about it, but we'll go into that in a minute. But right now, everything looks quality. Everything looks premium. The sculpting and the detail on the Sky Sled looks top notch. Like I said, you know, they're not shy about showing us all the accessories you're getting with this. You know, we're getting a cool flight stand, the different panels, the different heads, Prince Adam. So let's take these out. Start with Prince Adam. All right, so we got Prince Adam. We got his sword. It's like a pink power sword. Let's take out the Sky Sled. I don't know if there's an easy way to do this. All right, this is proving to be a little bit troublesome right now. Maybe I should have done this off camera, but this is an unboxing video. All right, here's part of the display stand. Here's the base of the flight stand. Alright, I can't figure out how to remove the Sky Sled. It seems like it's affixed to something. Alright, this is like one of my pet peeves. I can't stand it when they go through such great lengths to make taking out the toy impossible. Like, I understand, like, you know, there's anti-theft deterrents and stuff like that, but, you know, sometimes you just want to go at the toy and they make it impossible. Alright, I got the two different panels. Nice chunky blast effect. The extra head. And the Sky Sled. All right, let me clean up this mess a little. Alright, that took a little bit longer than expected. Okay, so we have the Sky Sled. It looks awesome. We have the panels here to make the War Sled. So the red panels, this indicates the villain, well, like when the villains use it, it becomes the War Sled. So they provide us with two different panels. The open mouth, it's a little bit more aggressive. It looks more like a, actually looks more like Panther. This is for the War Sled, so that indicates the villain vehicle. And nice big chunky blast effect. We got the display stand, is kind of like the base. And then here's the flight stand itself. And it's kind of cool. It seems like with the flight stand, it's on a hinge, a springed hinge, so you could adjust, the angle and position of it. Okay, one thing I've noticed is that outside of the box, there's kind of a lack of instructions, so I'm not sure what the proper way to mount this display stand. I'm having a hard time trying to figure out which is the front and which is the back of this. Okay, so this is going to mount onto this. It's funny, this almost looks like the Star Trek symbol. Alright, so the way this mounts is that this curve is going to be the back, and this is the front. And you can tell because if you look inside, there's a notch here, but it's right up there towards the top. There's a tab. And over here, there's a notch for the tab. So it'll only go in one way. So it'll only go in like this. And it snaps into place, and it's permanent. So there's the flight stand. Alright, so what should we do first? Should we do the figure first or the vehicle? Let's do the figure first. Alright, so we have Prince Adam here. Let me grab another figure real quick. Alright, this is a naked He-Man figure minus his harnesses. Alright, so we have Prince Adam. So this is He-Man's alter ego, or vice versa. He's looking... Alright, so it's pretty much... the head sculpt, it looks the same, because it is the same dude. On camera, his vest is looking really red. Very red on the camera, but if you saw it in person, it kind of leans more towards like kind of like a hot pink red, but a little bit richer and deeper, if that makes any sense. It's not magenta. His sword's kind of more of a magenta shade. And this power sword, it's not the sword that splits in two, it's just the one solid piece. As you can see here, it's not the one that's split in half. And it doesn't have that weird handle at the end of the hilt. It's just the plain sword, which I like a lot. But yeah, this figure, it's essentially the same as He-Man. The only thing different is just a repaint. With the exception of the vest for this guy and the harnesses for this guy, it looks like to be the exact same mold, just repainted. The arms are identical. The legs are identical. The boots. The only thing difference is that, this is Prince Adam. This is what he wears when he's wandering around the castle, this being Prince Adam. Okay, figure. And now, there's not a whole lot to say about this guy. He's not anything spectacular. I don't know how you could remove the vest if you could. I'm guessing you remove the arms, because it doesn't look like the vest unclasps anywhere. It looks like a solid piece. which is all right. It's much better than the vest we got like in the 80s, because if I remember correctly, in the 80s, I had a Prince Adam figure. I was really excited to get him too. But I think his vest was made of like almost like a weird felt material, I think. I remember when I was younger, I think I got him at J.C. Penney, and I was just stoked because, I had a He-Man figure, and I love the cartoon, but there wasn't a Prince Adam. And it's one of those things that as soon as they released a Prince Adam figure, I knew it was kind of special because it felt like at that moment that the toys were taking cues from the cartoon. So yeah, I mean, if you had to rate this figure, in all honesty, my first thoughts is 6. It's average, It's essentially a repaint of He-Man, but with a vest. I love the sword. It's pretty cool, but yeah, it's not that it's a bad 6. It's a very high 6. It's just Prince Adam. And you do need him. If you have a He-Man figure, you definitely need his alter ego. So I think it goes without saying, But the only way you could get this figure at retail is with this set. So, I don't know. I think it's worth the purchase. Alright, let's set this guy aside. And let's take a look at what we're all here for, is the Sky Sled. Okay, so I have a lot of fond memories of the Sky Sled. It was one of my favorite vehicles as a child. I think it's awesome. It looks really cool. And I already have some problems with this. Okay. Alright, so I love the sculpting on this. It's beautiful. It's really well done. The detail's really high, like incredibly high. Like if you compare this to the original Sky Sled, it's the difference is like night and day. This looks like for a lot of the Masters of the Universe Origin stuff, they're really good at taking the old vintage 80s toys and still redesigning it so it still kind of feels within that 1980s aesthetic. Whereas this, it seems like they just took at least the very bare minimum, just the silhouette of the Sky Sled, and then they made a lot of embellishments. So not that this feels out of place, but this definitely feels a lot more modern in its engineering and design. Like there's so many crisp details in here. Like there's all these vents and grates. There's all these rivets and panels. The sculpting is really sharp. The fact that you can swap out these panels to like create a different vehicle, so you can make the villain version of the vehicle is really cool. There's there's a lot more paint application than the original. The original one, it was just casted in that kind of like weird neutral blue plastic, whereas this one, it's multiple colors. Like the cannon's actually a different plastic. These guns underneath are different plastic. The exhausts are different plastics. So it looks very like a much more modern take on a very classic vehicle. And it's cool. I definitely dig this a lot. Lots and lots of detail. Okay, so examine this up close. Alright, so here's the profile view. We have the large cannon, the head. Lots of sharp, nice tight angles on this. It really pulls it together. The additional details here look great. You look at the back and the controls. The heads-up display is really nice. You have this cool grid. All the gauges are sculpted in. It's not a sticker, which is, for me, thumbs up. That's awesome. That's a cool extra. The seat's even detailed with kind of like, it's not necessarily a soft cushion, but it's at least segmented. It's cool that they actually took the time and painted the handles on the handlebar. Even the bottom is incredibly detailed. They didn't have to go through such lengths because technically you don't really ever see the bottom, but here it is. They have additional vents, panels, more vents, more panels. It's like lots and lots of detail. I'm not disappointed at this at all. But like I said in the beginning, I do have some reservations about this. But we'll get into that in a little bit. Now, if you want to make the War Sled, it looks like you just swap the head out. I'm not sure if it just simply pulls out. And then you can swap this on. It snaps into place. These panels come off. I don't know how. Now, the thing is, I don't want to go digging in here between the panels. and use my fingernail to like pull this out, just because I'm worried about it missing and actually taking off the sticker, because these panels, this is actually a sticker here. It's not like a separate sculpted detail. What we're getting here is just a sticker. So these panels are essentially identical. The only thing different is that the sticker is different. And I'm trying to figure out how you could pull this off. Oh, right here. So at the top here, there's a little notch there. So you can just slide your fingernail underneath and lift it up. You can pull it out and swap this in, and then you instantly have the villain version of the vehicle, the war sled. That is cool. So this is one of those kind of toys where it's encouraged that you at least buy 2 of them. It's a great army building toy. My only thing with that is that it would have been cool that, you know, instead of giving you Prince Adam that came with this, it would have been nice if they gave us a royal guard or an evil henchman, because at least that way you could army build your Sky Sled, and at the same time you could troop build and build up your armies. You know, if you buy multiples of these, you're going to have multiple Prince Adams, which, you know, really serves no purpose. But the idea of having multiple Eternian guards or multiple henchmen for Skeletor, you know, that makes sense. But this is cool. It's kind of cool that they give you this option. You know, at the lift of a finger, you can easily just, you know, convert the vehicle into like a hero version or a villain version. And I like that a lot. And let's get this head back off. Okay. I love that snap. It's awesome. All right, I'm looking at this, and I was staring right down the barrel, and I kind of noticed that my cannon's kind of... Oh, wait. I take it back. It rotates. At first, I thought it was like... Mine was like crooked, but then... Yeah, oh, wow, that's neat. So that's very cool. This thing actually rotates. And then you could insert the blast effect. It almost looks like an Allen key hole right there, because it's a hexagon. And you just plug this in there. It'll plug in anyway. Even though this is a hexagon and this is a round peg, it'll plug in regardless. And that's a cool effect. That looks really nice. And if you wanted to put a figure on it, there's 2 pegs for the feet. And it's cool because there's almost like diamond plating here too. So, you know, they took the time out to sculpt some realistic detail in here. Because in the real world, you see stuff like diamond plating anytime you have to, like, you know, put your foot anywhere. It might be like at the back of like a pickup truck or something, but it's a neat, cool detail that they'd apply that here. You know, some diamond plating. Someone actually thought about that, and, you know, kudos to them for like going that little tiny extra mile to give us that one little detail. And I love the use of vehicles with foot pegs, because almost every action figure has foot pegs. But, you know, foot pegs aren't always just meant for like displaying an action figure. It's always cool that they serve a purpose, like whether they plug into a playset or a vehicle. And here's naked He-Man riding his Sky Sled. The proportions, it's nice. Nowadays, I always kind of worry, like, whenever they make vehicles for action figures, it feels like they always try to cut corners and save some money and give you a smaller vehicle. But this one, I believe it's the correct proportions for the size of figure. Yeah, it looks nice. For a second, I wanted to say I thought this rotates. All right, I'm not going to force it, but maybe there's another review. Part of me wanted to say I thought this would rotate just because it was 2 separate pieces. And it kind of jostles just a teeny bit. It's not loose. It's a very snug fit. But I don't want to force it, but it would have been cool but pointless if this thing rotated. All right. Oh, the flight stand. Let's take a look at the flight stand. I love the fact that it comes with this extra flight stand. This is awesome. I like the idea of the display stand because, you know, it shows you that Mattel has the action figure collector in mind. They know that collectors are going to want to display their toys, and, you know, giving you a flight stand, it's so much better to actually display the Sky Sled so it has the appearance of it flying, as opposed to just placing it flat on like your shelf or table. And it's neat that it's on this hinge, so you can like adjust the position and angle. You can rotate it. It's really awesome. My only complaint, though, that even though it's ratcheted, it seems like at its base horizontal neutral position, due to the weight of this, it feels like it's just tipping forward just a little bit too much. You see, it kind of like tips forward. But at the same time, I think once you have a figure on here, it'll balance it out, and then, you know, it'll level it off a little bit better. It would have been nice if the ratcheting mechanism was clear plastic also, but then it'd reveal all the weird gears and springs. But this is okay. I could deal with this. And let's see how well this unplugs, if it does. Okay, so I'm not sure if this I'm not sure if this disconnects all that easily. It's a pretty snug fit, and I'm afraid of breaking the tabs on the inside if I force it out. Okay. All right, so this does unplug from it, but just a word of caution, it's a tight snug plug, you know, once you get in there. So my attitude is this: if this is something you're going to be fiddling around with and playing around with, or handing off to your kids, don't bother plugging it into the stand. If you're pretty much just a dude who's just going to display your figures, and you know you're never going to play with it, it's cool. Just display it on the stand and don't think about it. Because I have a feeling that if you constantly plug and remove this, over time, you're going to stress out the plastic tabs on the inside, and, you know, one of them might break. So for me, you know, personally, I'm probably just going to keep it off the stand, because this is something I might want to just fiddle around with. But it's cool that they give you this option. Okay, so at the beginning of the video, I kind of mentioned how I had some reservations about this. So as nice as I think this vehicle is, it's a great modern interpretation of a classic toy. When I first saw photos of this, it felt a little bit overkill. Like the design, it's awesome, but it just felt like it was over-engineered, and there was a lot of extra bells and whistles added onto it. Because, I mean, it just might be me being nostalgic. But here's the old one, and for me, it's a lot more simpler in design. It's a lot more streamlined. Like, don't get me wrong, I appreciate all this extra detailing, like the panels and the rivets and stuff, but, you know, this one, even though this one's a little bit smaller, you know, I don't know, there's just something about this one. It felt a little bit more streamlined. Like, this one has a small little laser gun, whereas this one has like a full-blown cannon attached to the front, which is cool. But for me, I think the cannon here kind of detracts from the overall profile of the vehicle. Like, if you look at this from a profile view, it's a very triangle, streamlined profile. You know, here's the top, the bottom, and then the point, so it makes a perfect triangle. Whereas this, it's a little bit more broken up. This almost feels more like a jet ski, you know. But that's not a bad thing. I think it's like I said, it's based off of more personal preference. I do like the fact that this, you actually see the exhaust here, whereas on the old one, it was nothing. You just saw these giant tabs. And there's great improvements, like the fact, you know, with modern engineering, you have this cool sculpted in heads-up display with all the gauges, whereas back in the day, all you got was this sticker. So I don't know, maybe it's just me, you know, just being nostalgic, but there's something about the classic one that, I don't know, this really calls out to me. I just love this. It's this nice, simple design. But don't get me wrong, this thing here is amazing. But, you know, any reservations I have might just be due to, like, nostalgia and this, you know, my childhood. But if you didn't grow up on this, this is, you know, this thing is amazing. This is easily like a 9, in my opinion. But one thing that the original one has over this is that the Sky Sled was one half of a vehicle. And here's the other half. This is when it's assembled in its totality, it's known as the battle ram. So for me as a kid, this was like one of my favorite vehicles growing up. And I'm talking about like like not just Masters of the Universe, but including like G.I. Joe and like Star Wars. I loved the Battle Ram. I think this was probably the first Masters of the Universe vehicle I got as a child. I was about maybe like 6 or 7 years old when He-Man came out, and I just remember this being one of my first toys, and it was great. But I was kind of disappointed in the cartoon, because in the cartoon they always just had just the Sky Sled by itself. I'm sure maybe they had episodes with the actual Battle Ram assembled, together, but in the cartoon is always just the Sky Sled. And as much as I like the plain Sky Sled, I just love this cool looking vehicle when it's assembled together. And that's the kind of the disappointing thing about this. Like when they gave us the Sky Sled, part of me felt like dead inside, because I'm like thinking, all right, they just gave us the Sky Sled. Does that mean we're not going to be getting the complete Battle Ram? And I don't know that. I don't really keep up to date with all the Masters of the Universe news, so I don't know if they're going to give us the complete vehicle or if it's just going to be this for now. And personally, I would love to see the vehicle in its entirety. It's great. I love the fact that you can separate into 2 different parts. You can separate into the Sky Sled, so it could go airborne and take care of like, far away missions or battle in the sky. I love this half of the Battle Ram. If they have to fortify a castle or a keep, this could separate and be left behind, and it has like a rocket launcher up here. You flick this up and this missile shoots out. And then it has handles in the back and like a heads-up display for like additional characters who like man it. And this is one of those weird things I always never understood as a kid. So this came with this. These are reproduction stickers, but there was always this sticker of this helmet that was on the back. I could never tell if that was supposed to be like a design engraved onto the vehicle, or if that was supposed to be more representational of like an actual helmet that a character could wear, but the helmet was kept in storage. So yeah, I love the Battle Ram, and I love that this whole thing, attaches together to make this cool vehicle. That's my biggest gripe about this. Like, I love this. It looks great. I think the design's a little bit overdone. Like, I think they could have scaled back on the cannon just a little bit and maybe make this a little bit more streamlined. But I do like the fact that it's proportioned just to be a little bit larger, so it fits more in scale with the figures. Like the original Sky Sled, as much as I loved it, it felt a little bit too small. I do prefer this look more though. Like in terms of the operating station and the handlebars, I kind of like it how it's this giant, huge like console like up here. Whereas this one, it's like they slimmed it down to like almost like a monitor, and then they have these protruding handlebars on the side. It's cool, but personally, I think this design looks a little bit nicer. But that's just me, So yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, I would have loved it if they gave us the complete vehicle. And now that I'm examining it, this kind of leads more towards turquoise in color on camera. You're not going to see it, but in person, this is more of a turquoise, like a dark turquoise. Or, no, I take it back, not turquoise. It's almost like a seafoam green, but like a really dark, rich seafoam green. Whereas this is kind of like a grayish blue. And for me, that's kind of like the more iconic color for this vehicle. But this is nice. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on this. I do love this thing a lot. I think this is an amazing vehicle. But as part of me was just kind of hoping that we'd get the complete package and with the complete Battle Ram. But for now, this is cool. This will do. I just hope that in time, maybe they give us the Battle Ram. But you never know. Who knows? This might be it. This the Sky Sled. All right. So this video is running a little bit longer than I expected. So we'll end it now. Closing thoughts. If I had to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, I think I said it earlier. I think like a 9, and I think it rightfully so. It deserves it. The detail's amazing. Even though it's been sitting on your shelves for a while now, I think it's worth picking up if you haven't gotten it already. If you could find it on clearance, more power to you. The Prince Adam figure, I think, you need it if you want to complete your set. And it goes without saying, if you have a He-Man figure, you really do need Prince Adam. It's kind of like Batman. If they made a Bruce Wayne figure, You know, I think you need it just to accompany your Batman, or Clark Kent to accompany your Superman. I'm losing my voice here. So yeah, thanks again for checking out this video. If you are a new viewer, welcome. Thank you so much for checking this out. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for all your support, likes, and comments. I greatly appreciate it. If you're here because you love Masters of the Universe, awesome. You know, welcome. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourselves. You know, go out there, hunt some toys, and just enjoy your life. All right, take care.